Unless the Supreme Court institutes by judicial fiat the radical Marxist anti-constitutional agenda, it needs to be destroyed. And how do you destroy it? Turn it into the Democrat Party Marxist Politburo by packing the court. Well, then what's the point of having a court? This is now the pushing of the packing of the Supreme Court. We have no choice. We have to pack the Supreme Court. Biden has to issue executive orders like he's making laws from the Oval Office. That's right. We need to pack the Supreme Court. We need to get rid of the filibuster rule so we can ram through whatever we want to in the Senate. Then we have to add Puerto Rico and D.C. estates so we can have 4 more Democrats so the Republicans can never win. Then we want to change our election laws because the Republicans are suppressing the vote because we know they're insurrectionists. And they're suppressing the vote because, well, everybody who wants to vote can't vote. Footnote. At our house in Virginia, we got 2 ballots for 2 of our kids that no longer live in Virginia. One lives in Maryland, one lives in Tennessee. They made it clear to authorities. They voted in Tennessee and they voted in Maryland, and we got 2. This is how they cheat. So if my kids, who have honor and integrity, they could have voted twice, once in Maryland, once in Tennessee, and both of them in Virginia, and nobody would know. Nobody would know. So I said to my wife, hold on to those. I got to put them on this show, because I'm in Florida right now, and my other show. This is an example of what's taking place in this country. Oh, there's no cheating going on. There's no fraud. Because they've institutionalized corruption. They shouldn't be mailing out anything. You want to vote, get off your ass and go vote. And if you can't, then you fill out the forms and you get approval. No, we're going to send them out. The government, local, state, and federal, they don't have the competence to make sure one person, one vote. All right, that's another footnote, but my God. So here, the Democrat Party, which hates the Constitution, which used to love the Supreme Court when it issued opinions it likes. Now it wants to pack the court. Here we go. Go.
These days, it's fair to ask who really is in charge in this country, because the momentous loss of the constitutional right to abortion, which has led to state abortion bans across the country, came from a rule...
Okay, dummy. The constitutional right to abortion is not in the Constitution. I don't know how many more times I have to say that. You want it in the Constitution? Amend the Constitution. No. We had a court that amended it for us. Okay. Now we have a court that said what? That abortion is unconstitutional around the world, especially in the United States. Is that what they said? No, it's not. What they said is, let the states duke it out. It's none of our business. We're 9 lawyers sitting here. Half of us are males or more. We shouldn't be involved in these decisions. We'll leave it to the states. Oh my God, we can't do that. For us, it's all or nothing. Where is the long list of women who can't get abortions, who want or need abortions? I remember early on they found a 10-year-old girl or something like that, and I don't really know whatever happened to that case. But if this is really the problem, don't you think night after night, day after day, that jerks like this and jerk networks like this and others, they would have a conga line of cases. They would put their names on their screen, something like that, but they don't. I wonder why. This is the same party that used to support eugenics, by the way. That was the great civil right back in the day, not for the people who were forced to be sterilized, not for the people who were forced to second-class citizenship. No. But everybody else. And who gets the most abortions in this country as a percentage of their population? The minority people do. That's never discussed either. You can't discuss that. Shh. Go ahead.
By just 5 right-wing justices on the Supreme Court.
5 right-wing justices on the Supreme Court. It's so frustrating. But this is how they destroy our institutions. They want leftists to hate these people. One of them had a death threat. Others had protesters on their lawn. They had to put a fence around the Supreme Court. But of course, this jerk isn't an insurrectionist promoting violence. No. He's righteous. Go ahead.
Last year's decision that Americans have a broad right to carry firearms in public, which puts state restrictions on firearms in jeopardy, also came from the Supreme Court's ultra-conservative majority.
Oh, now it's right-wing, and now it's ultra-conservative majority. I guess he's not familiar with the Second Amendment. No, the ultra-conservative majority. So the ultra-conservative right-wing, no doubt white supremacists on the court, including Clarence Thomas, of course, they ruled there's nothing in abortion in the Constitution for us to handle. It goes to the states. Well, there is nothing in the Constitution. Well, that's right-wing. No, that's a constitutionalist. And then, look at this. Supreme Court allows the carrying of firearms in public a major victory for gun rights groups. It didn't say, as a matter of federal law, you must. It says if a state passes a law to allow it, it's allowed. That's what they said. Oh, we can't have that. Unless the Supreme Court institutes by judicial fiat the radical Marxist anti-constitutional agenda, it needs to be destroyed. And how do you destroy it? Turn it into the Democrat Party Marxist Politburo by packing the court. Well, then what's the point of having a court? Go.
And now President Biden is considering a radical move to end the Republican Party's dangerous hostage-taking on the debt limit by perhaps deploying the 14th Amendment.
So we're talking about hostage-taking. See, when I was in college, I took a course on speech, and they talked about devil terms and angel terms. And so you use devil terms, they must have taken the same course, to describe your opponents, and angel terms to describe yourself. They're the devil. We're just trying to do the right thing. So running out of time, but here what they're talking about is the 14th Amendment. If you've listened to my radio show, you understand this. The 14th Amendment has nothing to do with what's going on today. The 14th Amendment, they call it the full faith and credit clause, even though that's not the way it's phrased. What happened there is the three amendments were passed after the Civil War. Among other things, the 14th Amendment talks about the obligation of the federal government, basically the Union, but the federal government, to pay its debt for defending the Union and defending the country. But it goes on to say, essentially, not one penny should be spent to support any of the expenses incurred by the other part of our Union, the South, on an insurrection. So they were explaining, okay, look, this is what you do, because there were questions raised. What are we reimbursing? What's the government going to... You pay for that, which we incurred, the costs related to us defending the Constitution and the Union. Not one penny towards the insurrection of the Confederacy. They have taken that, and they have said, we have a constitutional obligation to pay all of our bills. Now, what's wrong with that phrase? They're not just talking about bills that exist now. They're talking about bills in the future. So what Biden and the Democrats and McConnell did is they passed a massive spending bill, and they want to do again in October, although McConnell's hold back on a massive spending bill. And then they want the Republicans to raise the debt limit to cover the spending bill. What the Republicans are saying is, this time, Joe, you cut your budget. It's too big. We're not going to raise the debt limit to pay for all your expenses. So they already voted to raise the debt limit, but they already proposed certain cuts that will not affect any one of you unless you want to be a new IRS agent. And Biden says no. Why? What did I say earlier? They need this money because the bureaucracy belongs to them. They own it. They want to expand it. They want to increase the pay. They want to create new bureaucracies, new departments, new rules, and they want the money. So they're asking them to raise the debt limit to pay for every single penny Joe Biden is proposing in his new budget. And they've said no. And so they say we should be able to use the 14th Amendment. Even Obama said no. It's never been used this way because it's unconstitutional.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.